Today, as always, this show is for you. Make sure you leave your ticker symbol in the comments, and we will go over that ticker symbol, including any price action of the day, support and resistance lines, chart patterns, quarterly financials, and any top or breaking news for your requested ticker symbol. So, whenever you want, just leave that ticker symbol in the comments and we will break that ticker symbol down for you. The After Hours Show is a show just for you. Leave that ticker symbol in the comment again and we will go over it together. So, to kick off the show today, we are going to go over market breakdown, what happened today in the markets, and then we're going to hop into Skillz. Skillz is a gaming platform and they released their Q4 and full year 2020 earnings report. So we're going to go through Skillz and the earnings report. We're also going to go into the charts for Skillz to find out what's happening with their price. And again, along the way, drop a ticker symbol in the comments that you want us to break down and go through. And as soon as we're done with Skillz, or as soon as you comment, we will jump into your ticker symbol because this show is for you. So without hanging on any further, let's hop over to Market Watch. But real quick, I need to do a little sharing of the screen. All right. Now this should go away in just a moment. There we go. All right. So Dow Jones, mm, up 1.46% today. Not bad. The S&P up 0.60%. And then we have the NASDAQ, which was down slightly 0.04%. Now, that's interesting because the NASDAQ earlier today, it was up over 1.5%. So it lost all that ground. And you can see the blue line representing the chart for the NASDAQ today. And you can see when we started today, we were above 13,200 points. And then we lost it. We lost it. And then the S&P today, it fell. Oh, sorry about that. Didn't want to do that. Clicked the wrong button. Okay. Well, I lost that. It's okay. You're looking at their earnings report. All right. So Skillz. Okay. Let's just hop over to Skillz. Here we go. All right. Sorry for that technical difficulty there. This is our second show that we've produced. First was yesterday. You can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ticker Time News. You can also go to tickertimenews.com for a ton of information. All right, so Skillz outperforms Q4 and full year 2020 earnings report. Their fourth quarter revenue of $68 million, and that's up 95% over last year. The full revenue was $230 million for the whole year, and that was up 92%. And they had a guidance of $225 million, so they beat that by an extra $5 million. Now, they believe the full year 2021, looking forward, their guidance, they should hit around 366 million for the full year of 2021. Now, just a quick run through of some of the highlights for their earnings report. First, a little background. Skillz is a leading mobile games platform bringing fair competition to players worldwide. And of course, today they're announcing their Q4 and full year 2020 breakdown. So they say, quote, our first quarter as a publicly traded company was our 20th consecutive quarter of revenue growth, said the CEO and founder. We look forward to many more such quarters ahead. So that's good information to have if you're investing into Skillz. Online gaming will it definitely has a growing future ahead of it. There's no doubt in my mind. 2020 was a very odd year for everyone, but the one thing, the silver lining of 2020 is it helped to bring more companies online faster than it would have taken companies if 2020 didn't happen. So, just a silver lining to 2020. So, back to Skills in their Q4 highlights. Revenue grew to 68 million during the fourth quarter of 2020, 8% higher than expected and up 95% compared with 35 million during the comparable quarter in 2019. So 300 and I'm sorry, 35 million in 2019 and they brought that up to 68 million in 2020. Gross profit grew 95% to 64 million during the fourth quarter of 2020 compared with 33 million during the comparable quarter in 2019. So that is excellent to see. And of course, with software companies, there's high margin and you want to see that especially in gaming. So gross margin grew 95%. So they went last quarter in 2019 from $33 million to the fourth quarter of 2020 to $64 million. That's great. Now their gross margin was 95% during the fourth quarter of 2020, consistent with the comparable quarter of 2019. So what they're saying is their gross margin they had in 2020 of 95%. In 2019, the gross margin was about the same. It could have been a point or two higher or lower, but about the same. Net loss was $44 million during the fourth quarter of 2020, compared with a net loss of $9 million during the same quarter in 2019. So that is a big uptick. And you have seen that a lot with other gaming companies and other software companies. In 2020, expenses shot up and part of that was not expected. And the big reason why is what I mentioned in a few minutes ago was that companies in 2020 were pushed to go digital. A lot of companies had, say, a 5-year plan to go digital, and they would slowly transition into becoming more and more of a digital company. Well, because of the pandemic and everything that happened in 2020, that 5-year timeline that companies had to go digital was pushed and condensed to 1 year. So that's why you see a lot of companies, their net loss rose significantly. I mean, look at Skills. It went from a loss of 9 million last year, same quarter, fourth quarter, to $44 million loss in fourth quarter of 2020. Now, the gross marketplace volume grew 78% to 463 million during the fourth quarter of 2020 compared with 259 million during fourth quarter of 2019. Now, the full year highlights for Skills, revenue grew 92% to 230 million in 2020 compared with 120 million during 2019. So they grew by an extra $110 million in revenue in 1 year. That's great growth. Their gross profit for the full year grew 91% to $218 million during 2020, compared with $114 million in 2019. Again, good, solid growth. That's just over $100 million, $104 million. And then we have gross margin was 95% during 2020. And just like in the fourth quarter, the gross margin was 95% for the quarter. So it seems like Skillz as a company, they're scaling very well to be able to hold steady with a gross margin of 95% across every quarter across the whole year. And that was comparable to 2019 as well. Now their net loss for the full year was 122 million for 2020, compared with a net loss of only 24 million in 2019. So you can see the big growth from 2020. They lost 24 million in 2019, and that grew to losing 122 million in 2020, just shy of $100 million extra in losses for Skills. But that backs up my whole thesis on all companies in 2020 being pushed forward to go digital. Uh, Again, maybe they had a 5-year plan, and that 5-year plan was condensed down to 2020, and you had to do it in the year. Okay, so the GMV, and remember that's gross marketplace volume for the year grew 80% to $1.6 billion during 2020. In 2019, that was 886 million. As of December 31st, 2020, the company had $263 million in cash, and this is very important, no debt. You want to see a company just like this. This company is setting itself up for tremendous growth and tremendous profitability. No debt. That is excellent. All right, so some recent business highlights. They went public on the New York Stock Exchange, providing greater access to capital and increasing the visibility and transparency of the platform for developers, users, and brands. They signed a multi-year agreement with the NFL subsequent to the end of the quarter, underscoring the trusted relationship Skillz is building with leading brands. Blackout Bingo became Skillz' number one game based on GMV. And remember, GMV is gross marketplace volume, highlighting the ability of the platform to enable innovative developers to build successful businesses. Uh, Last here is bolstered Skills board of directors with adding of film and television producer and a couple of other partners. Financial outlook. The company is initiating 2021 revenue guidance of 366 million, which equates to a 59% year-over-year growth. Okay, we went through that. Let's see, investor conference call and webcast. Uh, about Skills, just in case you don't know too much about them, because they did recently go public just last year. And when we look at the stock chart in just a few minutes, you'll see that there's not a lot of history for them. But Skillz is a leading mobile game platform that connects players around the world in fair, fun, and meaningful competition. The Skillz platform helps developers build multi-million dollar franchising by enabling social competition in their games, leveraging its patented technology. And that's something you want to see in a company. The more patents they have around their technology, the more unique their business is. That is the company building a wider moat around themselves to make competition much harder. And that's when you're looking at some financial papers, you'll read about their moat size. What number is that? How big is their moat? And the moat is only representing, think of a castle, and they've got this moat of water around the castle. The bigger that moat is, the harder it is for enemies to come and take over that castle. All right, so that's the patented technology. Skills hosts billions of casual esports tournaments for millions of mobile players worldwide and distributes millions in prizes each month. Skills has earned recognition as one of the fastest companies, most innovative companies, CNBC's Disruptor 50, Forbes' next billion-dollar startup, and the number one fastest growing company in America on the Inc. 5000. You can visit Skills at skills.com. And if you want to go to the investor relations page where you can get tons of information, you can also join the investors email list. Go to investors.skills.com. And remember, skills ends with a Z, not an S. All right. Some other information there, forward-looking statements. Now we get to their statement of operations. So, on the left side, we have everything listed out. On the right side, we have 4 columns all the way to the right. Those 2 columns furthest to the right, they are for the full year. The first column to the right is 2019. The next column represents 2020. And then the next 2 columns further in, moving to the left, they represent the last 3 months, so the fourth quarter. You have 2019 in the first column, and then you have 2020 in the last column. All right. So we've got columns 1, 2, 3, and 4 starting from the right. Number 1 is full year 2019. Number 2, full year 2020. Column number 3 from the right is 3 months, the fourth quarter of 2019. And then finally, the fourth column from the right is your fourth quarter of 2020. So what we have up here first is revenue. Revenue for the quarter, and this is in millions of dollars, 67.7 million, up from 34.7 million. Good growth. For the year of revenue, 230.1 million, up from 119.8 million. Again, great growth. And then we have the next white line, we have cost of revenue. So what did it cost the company to produce that revenue? Well, it cost Skills $3.4 million to make $67.7 million. That is how you get that good gross profit, with having your costs down. Some companies, the cost of revenue is almost, almost very slightly, very, very close to their actual revenue because their margins are so small. Think of the restaurant industry as an example. Very small margins, but a software company, very big margins. Okay, so then for the full year, or I'm sorry, we gotta do 2019 for the quarter. For 2019 fourth quarter, it cost 1.8 million to do 34.7 million dollars. For the full year, it cost 12.2 million dollars to make 230.1 million dollars. And then 2019 for the full year, 5.7 million dollars to make 119.8 million dollars. And then we have research and development that was 3.4 million in 2019, 9.9 million in 2020. So you'd like to see that going up. That's good. Sales and marketing is one that you have to scale with you as you grow. You don't want it to get too far in front of you or fall too far behind. So sales and marketing, 33.4 million in 2019, 79.5 million for the fourth quarter 2020. So you see growth there. They're trying to get their name out. Big year 2020, big year for growth and also big year for expenses. All right, so we look at research and development and sales and marketing, general administrative. That's how you pay your people. And then we have total costs and expenses. All right. So this is adding all of those costs up together. We come up with $110.9 million for the fourth quarter. And again, we only made revenue of $67.7 million. So loss of operation was $43.2 million lost in the quarter. And for the full year, $99.6 million loss from operations. Okay. All right. And we get down here to interest, other interest, loss before income taxes. That was $43.9 million loss for the quarter. And again, that was up from only a loss of 8.6 million in the quarter of 2019. So again, big, big difference there. A lot of money spent last year to run this company, to grow this company. For the year, loss before income taxes for the year, a loss of 122.3 million, and that was up from a loss of 23.6 million in 2019. So again, it was a big year for growing for Skillz, and they had a lot of expenses and costs to keep up with that. Now we get down to their net loss. This is you're taking all the money they brought in, all the money that went out uh, to pay to operate their business. So our net loss, 43.9 million, up from 8.6 million a quarter ago in 2019. And then net loss for the whole year, we have a net loss of 122.4 million lost for the whole year of 2020 versus only losing 23.6 million in 2019. All right, so let's get to the balance sheet in their highlights reel earlier. They mentioned they had a lot of cash on hand. So we have two columns to the right. On the left side, this is listing everything, breaking it down. So on the right, the two columns, all the way to the right, we have full year 2019. And then the second column from the right is full year 2020. So the very top number is cash and cash equivalents. They have $262.7 million of cash on hand. That's up from only 25.6 million a year ago. So they have grown their cash position. A lot of that cash came from Skillz going public. Okay. So that's where a lot of that cash came from. We can go down. Total assets come in at 282.4 million, up from 38.8 million a year ago. Next, we get into liabilities and stockholders' equity. All right, current liabilities. Let's get to the bottom line for this. Accounts payable. Okay, other. All right, total current liabilities 47.3 million, up from 10.4 million a year ago. So that is not bad at all. Total liabilities, not bad. You have cash on hand of 262.7 million, but you only have outstanding invoices because remember in their highlights above they said they have no debt. So this liability is like invoices for things that they've done, paying for their web hosting and all the servers they need to run the company. So it's not debt like we borrowed money from the bank. It's just they owe people money from operating their business. So 47.4 million is the total liability. So they are in a very, very good cash position. Okay, let's see. They have cash flows down here. All right, we don't need to go over this too much because everything's looking good. They've got good cash on hand to run their company and grow their company for 2021. Let's hop over to the chart. All right. So this is Skillz, and their ticker symbol is SKLZ. All right. They were up 1.34% today. And then in after hours, they were up an additional 3.1%, closing out at a total cost of 26.50 per share, $26.50 per share. Just excuse me real quick for one moment. Okay. All right. So there's a couple boxes on here, and they stem back from when they first went public, and you can see how this kind of lines up. Actually, let me change this to a 4-hour chart so we can get a better overview. As you can see, this is it. They haven't been public very long. They went public right here the first day, the 17th of December of 2020. That's when Skillz went public. And you can see here they shot up mighty on the very first day. All right, so the lines that are drawn out here, we've got this first box down here. This is a support line that started to form for Skillz after they went public. And it's right around the $18 range, all right? $18 to $19. All these boxes that you see, they're about 50 cents wide, okay? So if one starts at, $18 on the bottom, the top of the line will be $18.50. So this is their first part of support. And if we look at where they are today, they're nowhere near that. They're up at the $26 level. So that is an area of support for them. This second line right here, this line was resistance for them when they IPO'd. It hit this as a ceiling and they couldn't break through. And then their first rally after becoming a publicly traded company, they just they just couldn't break through this mark right here. And this is at a 23.50, $23.50. They just could not break through this level. And then we go up a little bit more and you see this next line right here that's just starting. There's not really much to say. We can zoom in on it right here. There's not much to say about it for now on this side, but it does come into play when we get into currently what's happening with the stock. But I like to make sure my lines are drawn out and find any correlations that I can to help with support and resistance. All right, then we have this final line right here that you can see. This acted as resistance right here for the company, and this was the middle of January. But then it flipped the table, and by January 20th, all the way through January 27th, so for this whole week right here, this line acted as support. You find that a lot in stocks when you are charting out stock prices. Old resistance can become new support. It happens all the time, and old support can become new resistance. So you have to watch out. That's why charting is so important. So, anyways, this line right here is around the $27 mark. So, acted as resistance and then acted as support. And then we had this humongous rally right here, starting right here on February the 1st. February the 1st, people came in and started buying. You know, one company, one ETF that came in and has been buying Skills on every dip. I'll give you 5 seconds to guess. Leave a comment who you think the ETF is that's been buying Skills up a lot. ARK Invest. That's right. ARK Invest. Okay, so this rally right here was 66.67%, a humongous rally. It was great to see this, but of course, when things run up so fast, it drops hard. All right, so we can see here now, starting right here on the first week of February, February 7th, February 8th, then we start to lose. And the whole industry, the whole side of tech was losing. A lot of people said it was rotation into cyclicals, and they were doing well. All right, so it fell. We know it fell, and it fell hard, but that's okay. I'm going to switch over to the 1 hour chart so we can take a closer look at what's happening right now. So, Skills had a great Q4 in 2020 earnings report today. That's why in the after hours, they're up 3.1%, while they were only able to gain 1.3% during regular session. So that's why you see the last green candle right here, why it's so big, is because of the good earnings report. So if you look here, Skills was starting a downward trend during the day today, but then right as the report came out, boom, it shot right up. So I'm anticipating tomorrow to be a green day for Skills. I don't think it's going to sink down. And if it does, what we have right here as support right here, this bottom line is at $24.50. That is where support is coming in for Skills. Now, when we had the big meltdown on the 8th of March, 11:30 a.m., it seemed like every company dropped down. We reached a low right here, and the lowest it got, you can see on the screen, the low is 23.88. So I don't see it falling any further than $23.88 for Skills at all. Even today, I mean, we could not get below $24.50. It just didn't happen. And with the good fourth quarter results and with the good cash on hand, Skills is in a great position to continue their growth. And their projection for the year is looking very, very good. All right. So we have a support level at $24.50. We have resistance right here, and it's at $27.50. That's where resistance is at right now. So watching overnight and first thing tomorrow when the market opens, Can Skillz, with their good Q4 earnings report, break through this resistance of $27.50? They're at $26.50 right now, so they only have an extra dollar to go. So it's not that far. We'll have to see if they can break through it. So in after hours, if you look at the candle, this is something interesting. Anyone watching, I want you to learn. When you're reading candlesticks on a chart, you notice that look at this first red candle from the right here. If you notice on the candle, you have the big red part, right? But then you have just a single red line coming out of the candle, and it can come out on both ends, and they can vary in length. And all that means is when the stock kicked over, so this is the 1 hour chart. So we're on the green candle right here. So when the clock went from, say, this was at 3 o'clock, so went from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, it bounced over. And then from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, the stock sunk down to right here. And at the bottom of the candle, this is where from 4 o'clock and then time changed to 5 o'clock. That's when the new candle started to form and we had the rally. Okay. Now, what the little tiny line coming out of the candle means is that the stock actually ran up this high during that hour. Okay. So if we break down this into a 1 minute chart or a 5 minute chart, you'll see this in more detail. But this during the hour, the stock actually reached $27.11, and the low for this candle during that 1 hour period of time was $24.88. And then the candle closed at $25 even right at 5 o'clock as it shifted over to the next candle. And then during the 5 o'clock hour, okay, the candle has little green lines coming out of the top and a little green line coming out of the bottom. On the 5 o'clock hour, during that entire hour period, the stock reached as high as $27.25 and as low as $24.50. Okay. But when the candle closed, it closed up at the top, and that was $26.87. And then it kicked over to start making a new candle. And then that new candle fell down, and you can barely see it starting. It's just a little green line. And that's where things will kick off tomorrow, right here. And that's currently at $26.50. Okay. That's Skillz. So we went over the Q4 earnings report. We went over the full year earnings report for Skillz. We mapped out here on the chart. Again, just a refresher, support at $24.50 and then resistance at $27.50. That's what Skillz needs to try to break through. They had a great earnings report and things are looking good. They've got a lot of good cash on hand. All right. Are there any other ticker symbols you would like us to look at together here? Just leave a ticker symbol in the comments and we can go over that ticker symbol with you together if you'd like. I'll give anyone a minute here to leave a ticker symbol in the comments, or the company name if you don't know the ticker symbol is fine. So today was a mixed day on the stock, and while we're waiting, I'll just pull this up again and see if I can't get uh, the averages again. Uh, all right, here we go. All right, just waiting for any ticker symbols in the comments for us to go over. While I'm waiting for any ticker symbols, just a recap on how the overall market did today. Dow Jones was up 1.46%. That's the chart to your left. You can see they started low in the morning and they grew throughout the day, and they closed at 32,297.02. And then we have the S&P 500, which was up 0.60%. It had a very choppy day today, very choppy, and it finally closed at 3,898.81. And then lastly, the Nasdaq, which was a big surprise, it was up over 1.5% this morning, and then it lost its value right before lunch, and it just kind of stayed flat there for the rest of the day. But it was down 0.04%, closing out at 13,068.83. Okay. Any other ticker symbols you want to go over while we're here? Excuse this mess for just a moment while I change this. Any other ticker symbols? While I'm waiting for that, if you would like, you can join us on Patreon, uh, Patreon/TickerTime News, uh, to help us continue working and producing content for you. Remember, this show, the only reason we are doing it is for you, okay? Leave a ticker symbol or a company name in the comments, and we would be happy to break that down for you. For example, price action, support and resistance price points, chart patterns, quarterly financials, year end financials, and top news for that company. So just leave that ticker symbol or company name in the comments, and we will dive into it for you. If not, that'll just wrap it up for here. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe. We're going live every day to dive into your favorite ticker symbols. I'll just give another minute or two here. Anyone wants to comment with a ticker symbol, you can. If not, we'll wrap it up. We do post content, blog posts on tickertimenews.com, where we break down earnings reports and any news that's going on. We've got lots of news right now about Workhorse. If you're interested, we could even talk about them. They are in a political firestorm right now. Uh, there's 17 members of Congress who are filing a bill to give the Postal Service an extra $6 billion for only EV, 100% electric. I don't know what that would do for Oshkosh Defense in the current contract, but it's something. All right. If no one has any ticker symbols they want to go over, then we're going to wrap it up and leave it here for tonight. Make sure to tune in tomorrow after the market closes, and we'll have another live segment where we go over the ticker symbols that are most important to you. Thank you for watching. Make sure to smash that like button, click subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.